For the record, we are interviewing Senator Diane Bajoie for the UNO Midlo Center on Friday, January 18, 2019. Senator, do you consent to this interview?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So let's begin. Will you state your full name?
Diana E. Bajoie.
Can you tell us when and where were you born?
I was born in New Orleans, actually at Flynn Goodrich Hospital.
That's where my son was born.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us something about your family background.
Oh, well, my mother was a school teacher, and my father was a contractor, and he actually was a shoring contractor. And it's interesting now that I see that's going on. I remembered him doing all those things when they built rigs and all that. So I knew a lot about that just watching.
Yeah.
And how it's so prevalent today with after the storm, how many people are raising and shoring houses.
Yeah.
And he spent a lifetime doing that.
So where did you live?
Pretty much uptown. My dad was from the Tremé area.
Okay.
He came here from New Roads.
New Orleans, okay.
And my mother, people lived uptown. My mother was a member of the Geddes family.
Okay.
Her daddy was Denard Rudez. He was a painting contractor. And his mother was Nellie Geddes.
Okay.
And so she was one of the original Geddes. And so that's how, you know, and that's how her family was all uptown. And when he married my mother, it was a debate, so he moved uptown, and we almost moved, his mother and his family all lived downtown.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought the Geddes lived downtown.
Well, they actually originated down there, and but they had more funeral homes uptown.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah, they had the original funeral home was on Esplanade and Rampart.
Really?
Yeah, and I saw a picture of it in. I have a cousin who does do a lot of research. I got a sister too who's doing it now, Judy. And she does tours and she does a lot of research on
Oh,
it.
that's when they didn't
And I bring them up because they were involved then because one of my grandfather's uncles, I guess I need Judy here, and I think it was George or one of them. But anyway, he was with the Plessy versus Ferguson.
Okay.
He was one of the people who put up
So
some of the money.
He was a member of the Citizens Committee.
He's on it. He's on that plaque.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about that?
And one of them did a little work for the I guess he was a lieutenant governor before he came to governor.
Oscar Dunn?
No, the black governor.
Pinchback.
Yeah. So it's been kind of involved, you know. So I guess maybe, like I said, my father was more interested in political things and what was going on. My mother, I guess she had children to raise, so she really didn't have much time for it.
So you said she was a teacher. Where did she teach?
She taught, well, actually the last full job she had was at Xavier Prep.
Okay.
And then she went to work for the state and doing after-school programs and stuff.
Okay.
And she was she finished from Xavier University. She and her sister both. Our sister Nell Rose Lapierre. She was a guidance counselor, and they both finished from Xavier.
So her family basically was from New Orleans.
Yeah, that side was basically from New Orleans. And so they got a deep history in New Orleans and love New Orleans. And I always remember my grandmother saying, my grandfather say, he'd rather be a lamppost in New Orleans than the mayor of Chicago. Because they used to have they had a lot of relatives moved to Chicago.
I had some too. But it's interesting, when we were doing last year celebrating the tricentennial, it just dawned on me, my family has been here since 1793. So that's 225 years. So we were here 75% of the 300 years that we've been in New Orleans. So I don't know if I'd rather be a lamppost in New Orleans.
It was just an expression.
I'd rather live in New Orleans. There's not too many places I visited that I would not like to come back. In fact, even after hurricanes, people say, why do you keep coming back to New Orleans? It's home. This is where we are.
Yeah, he loved New Orleans, and he did a lot of work here. He was really a very well-known paint contractor. He painted for a lot of the more wealthy echelon of New Orleans. I can remember, you know, I can remember calling those names, Miss Joe Brown, and I met Miss Martha G. Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I got elected, when I got elected, she sent for me.
Oh.
And so when she found out I was Mr. Rudez's granddaughter, she always sent me things and had conversations with me, how she was involved in the broom parade or something.
She ran for city council, which was rare for a woman to
Yeah.
have the second primary. And I remember my mother said, I don't think I would vote for a woman. Well, why not? Well, I don't think a woman ought to be what she wound up voting for anyway.
Hmm. Yeah, she talked to, she used to speak to me, she talked to me about that.
Yeah.
And how she was impressed when I got elected. And
Good.
so, anyway, but that's pretty much my family history. I have, my mother has 7 children. I have 6 brothers and sisters. 1 brother's deceased. And
So where did you go to school?
I went to Holy Ghost Catholic School, elementary, and I ended
So
up
that's
going
now
to,
Drexel, right?
yeah. Actually, it's closed. It closed. It closed so many
Did
of them.
it close?
Yeah, it closed last year. Really.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And from there, I finished from Walter L. Cohen.
Okay. Waloo. So you stayed uptown.
Yeah.
Well, were there any teachers who you consider early mentors who had an influence on your career?
You know who really had influence, and I often think about him, Mr. Priestley. He taught civics.
Beverly Marie Priestley.
He was such a, he made it more interesting, you know, he started us, he said, you know, you need to keep up with the news.
Yeah.
And so it became our thing to watch the news and to read the paper. And that's how I can remember everything about, because it was during that time, I think it was in like, I might have been in 8th grade, but you had all those integration things going on,
Right.
like James Merritt and all those things like the top of the news. And so we had to give a report. Yeah, I used to love doing that. And
Okay.
so he had a big influence on my, and he always said, when you watch the news, you need to watch Walter Cronkite.
Hmm.
He said, because he gives the best news.
Right.
And so, you know, I can remember those things from him. And then when I was in high school, I had a lady who was a history teacher, Miss Bradley, her name was. And she was a very interesting teacher. She talked a lot and gave me a more interest in history. And
Okay.
so, you know, those were,
So who was the principal when you were there? Mr.
Miss-
Swirl was still there?
no, Mr. Perry was the principal.
Oh, Perry,
Mhm.
okay. Little Robert. He went to school with my mother. She always referred to me as Little Robert Perry.
Yeah, I met him late in life, but Mr. Perry was a really, he was a very good principal.
Okay.
And he cared about his students, you know, he really did. It was when, I guess it was a different time, you know, and so if a student had a problem, like I said, he would have parents' conferences.
Yeah.
I guess he had parents who, you know, they'd take off from work and threaten to beat you half to death because they had to take off from work, but they'd come see about their children, and that was the difference.
Well, I just wrote an article on Clark High School, and I mentioned that you were given an option, 10 paddles or go see the Maine. And if you were dumb enough to go see the Maine, you were going to be suspended. Parents who didn't have time off had to take time off, and
Oh,
they weren't
yeah.
happy when they had to
No.
come.
So you went to Clark and
Class of 59.
Mr. What's the principal?
Jesse Richards.
It was my mother's uncle. He was married to my grandfather's sister.
Really?
His first wife, she died,
That's right.
Julia Geddes Richards.
That's right, because he had left the public school system briefly to go into insurance business.
Yeah, I vaguely remember
Geddes
him.
Richards, now that you mention that.
Yeah, but that
I
was.
never knew. I mean, I knew he had been married before, but then he married
yeah,
Dr. Richards, who was
yeah, because
dean at Dillard.
she died young, breast cancer in her 40s. She
That's
was like
right.
40.
I
Did they tell me about? I didn't know her.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. In
Yeah.
fact, I understand that's why he had to go back into education, that he was making money, but his wife's illness not broke him, but put him in financial binds.
Yeah.
So, sports, it is a small world.
Mm.
Were you involved in any school activities?
Oh yeah, when I was in school, my biggest thing I liked more than anything was the Red Cross.
Okay.
And we didn't do as much as I thought we should, but anyway, it was just the idea that I always thought they would call us out if they had something.
Yeah.
Because I was in school when they had Hurricane Betsy.
1965.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we worked with them briefly.
And but they told us we was too young, we couldn't do anything. But I told them, I said, they calling for all Red Cross people. So, and
But I remember cleaning houses.
no, that's what he was doing. Yeah, they was going to do that. But anyway, I was involved in that. And I was also in the Y,
Okay.
and we had the Y teens, and we
That was Claiborne Avenue.
yeah,
right?
it's on Claiborne, and lady
Miss
Pete.
Barrow?
No, it's Pete was his name. They named the building after him in the night war. His wife was over it then.
Sanchez?
Yeah, Sanchez.
Okay. Well, I know Sadie Barrow was over the Y for a long time. She must have retired. Yeah, Pete
Well, she
Sanchez.
was over our group, I guess. Maybe I don't know if I guess she worked over there, but I don't know exactly what she did.
Yeah.
But and also we had a club called the Big Thinkers, and that was Miss Bradley's club, and where we were supposed to be trying to solve issues and once again keeping up with current affairs. And which brings me to another teacher who really was a great influence, was a good teacher, was Mr. Kilber.
Who?
Kilber. His son ended up becoming a superintendent of the school board.
Okay.
Kilber.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Kilber taught economics, and he taught a couple of things, but he was just a teacher who really, he was very, I guess, very involved. He would, adamant, I guess, but he would really, he'd walk around, and he made the class so interesting. You look forward to going to his class.
Was Mr. Harper there when you were there?
I was in the drama club.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I remember.
Yeah.
That's right, he died fairly young.
Yeah.
If he was still
Yeah.
there.
I wrote my own plate.
What was it?
You had to, I don't remember. I can't remember what it was. In order you had to do a initiation in order to get into the drama club. So I wrote a play, and it was very good, devoted. It was comical or whatever. It probably was about my brothers and sisters or something. But I was in that as well. And I played music, and I played at it.
Did you?
But
You were in a band?
yeah, junior band, and sometimes they let you watch. But I started doing it from junior high school. And
What instrument did you play?
actually, I started out on a clarinet and lost it, and the boy across the street lent me his trumpet.
Ah,
And I was doing pretty good on it, so I stayed on it. And I ended up in a class with all boys. So I told him I had my first experience of being the only girl in the class. When I got to the legislature, being the only woman in the house.
how about that? When did you first become aware of race relations in the city?
Oh, I guess through my dad, I guess. I don't know, my mother kind of like, I'll tell you one of the things I remember most. I remember going to, my mother used to like to take us to the museums. And we go to all the museums. And we used to like to go to the Audubon Park. And my brother always wanted to go around the time there's feeding the seals and stuff. And so we'd go there, and it wasn't until one time when one of them sat down on a bench. And somebody said, "Oh, you can't sit on that." And I said, "Why you can't sit down, And somebody said, "Well, you don't let colored people sit down on the bench." I said, didn't want to go back no more.
Yeah.
And knew that was wrong, And I guess that was one of my most dramatic experiences I had. And
Do you remember the screens on the buses?
I really vaguely.
Vaguely.
But what year they took them off?
58.
Yeah, well, I would have been like about 9. But I don't think probably when I got on the bus, they'd already moved it. I mean, I wasn't like one of the people moving it or nothing.
Right.
Like throwing it out the window.
I
I
mean,
had people say,
you live close enough to school? to
yeah, I walked to school.
Okay, so I had to ride the bus behind the screens. I remember those.
No.
When did you first become politically active?
Oh, man. I guess it's hard to say when I first, what I first did. I guess, I don't know, there had people all around me was doing things all the time, and I guess my first really political activity was, I think about, I remember now, a lady lived next door behind us, and you probably heard of her name, is Edna Mae Tickles.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, she was a unique politician.
Yeah.
But we just knew her as the neighbor, but I knew she used to have a lot of people over when it was election time.
Right.
And, she'd give a big barbecue or something. But the reason I bring her up is because I was by my grandmother, and I was very close to my grandmother. We were sitting on the porch, and she must have passed by. And she asked my grandmother, she said, well, she asked me how old I was, and I think I was 18. And she said they needed some more people to come down to the church. And that was when they first was putting pressure on them to do a more balanced Democratic ticket for the party elections. And so she asked my grandmother, I said, I want to do. I said, I think I will. I'm gonna go down there and see. And so they said what we had to do. So she said, you got to get people to come vote for you. And so I went, and so me and my grandmother, she called some of her friends up, and I got some people to come over to the church, and there'd be a little ballot, and put your name on there, and I probably got more votes than anybody because I worked it. Yeah. And so I won that little district election. I mean, they elected a bunch of us. It wasn't just one person. Right. And from there, you went to the next level where they elected somebody to the I guess to the state or whatever. Yeah, because I can remember I met Miss Clotilde Bernard.
Miss Clotilde.
Very nice lady.
Right.
And she said she wanted to go. I said, well, I'm gonna help you, you know, because I know I wasn't going nowhere. I was getting ready to go back to school, go to college, and so I was probably going to my second year, and so I helped her, and not that I guess she might not needed my help, but I did, and whatever little votes I had, I asked her to vote for her, and she ended up going to I think it was in Florida. Okay. And so that was my first thing I ever ran for, and I can remember some people I ran. So I'm not gonna name them who was not so nice, but
But you got to know her family, John and Florence.
Not really. They weren't home. None of them. They weren't there. She was like active on them. I think they were all like already out there, doing their thing. John Bernard. She wasn't a judge or nothing. She probably was a lawyer already. And she had a daughter. She told me she had a daughter that was, opera singer.
What's her name? I can't think of her name.
But I remember her, and and then the other thing was my dad. My dad was always, he decided to, I think probably Miss Tickle, somebody asked him if he wanted to be a commissioner, and so he did do that. He told me he would never do it again, but
why?
my daddy was an outdoor person who worked hard, and he said just to sit somewhere all day was too much for him. But he wanted us to be involved and to do things, and that's when he bought us all he had a membership to NAACP, and he enrolled all of his children. So I said, we got this card now, what do we do, And I said, I want to go to the meeting. So I did go to the meeting if my brother would go with me. I had a brother who was right next to me. And so he and I began going to the meetings. And
I remember going to Holy Ghost School, soliciting members.
So I don't know if that's where he signed up at or not, because that's the church we were going to.
Yeah, but I remember going to school, and because that was
Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament.
Yeah, Blessed Sacrament Parish.
Yeah.
And I remember going there. So which political organization did you join?
They always ask me that, but my thing was to do my own thing. And when I started out, when I decided to run, I didn't really decide. When the rest of my friends and everybody decided that, we had a House seat came empty. Well, we was involved. We had been working by then, helping people get elected. And my big thing was, was working with with a summer program, and with children during the summer. While I was going to school, we'd come home and do that. But we never had no money. And found out the city was giving everybody else money, but it wasn't giving us much. And I found out, I think they gave us like a couple $100 or something. Most of the people was working for free, which was fine, but we couldn't buy anything. And so we said, we need to know people like everybody else, And so we said, we're going to help people, start helping people running. And and the House seat came open. We said, oh, man, we ought to elect somebody to the House, help somebody run.
Was it a vacancy?
Actually, the guy stepped down, and it was after the reapportionment when the court mandated that they draw so many black districts.
Right.
And
that
the
was
guy.
71.
That's when it was? Okay,
That's
but I didn't
first
run in 71, and
Right.
But he still got elected.
Okay.
People liked him. His name was Ed Booker.
Okay.
He was a civil rights attorney.
Yeah,
He
I
did a
remember.
lot of work in Bogalusa.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't involved in that one at all. But it was when in the next re-election, which was in '75, and he decided that, you know, since they drew these districts, that they should have African American in it, you know. And what's his name? Reverend Landrum
Right.
had been elected as the delegate to the Constitutional Convention, and we helped him. You know, we helped him get elected. And decent guy, you know, and
That was
and
Louis
so-
Landry.
nice man, and so so and we were so actually, I'll never forget. He told me, he said, you know, you're really very involved. You ought to run for something. And so, but anyway, lo and behold, but anyway, so the seat came empty. It was not my intent to run for it. I really didn't have running on my mind.
Right.
I was busy trying to get into. I was dealing with political science, and I wanted to. I love to study the statistics and all that, and I was doing a lot of that kind of work and just putting together numbers and stuff. And I could see where, you know, you put together the numbers how blacks could win different seats and stuff. And so I wanted to become a political scientist. There was probably no market for it.
Yeah, you were working at the Carey?
No,
Addison Carey?
I was with Dr. Prestige in Baton
Oh,
Rouge.
Jewel Prestige.
Jewel Prestige.
Yeah.
And you got a chance to work on, to do some numbers when they were looking at reapportioning the New Orleans City Council.
Right.
And he had some of us up there looking at some of the numbers and stuff and putting together some of the tracks and stuff. But anyway, however, that was my interest at the time. You know, and my children during the summer. And I met Jerome Smith during that time. Because they wouldn't let us use the school. And they put us out of one school and they wouldn't let us use another one. And so he said, we're going to go down to the school board and demand, because the school belonged to the people. And, you know, we love that kind of stuff. So we was going out to the school board, and it convinced Dr. Harper's brother, who was the principal, that he said it was too much vandalism took place. I told him, you have a better chance of no vandalism if you got activity going on.
Right.
And we did ultimately get to use the school with Sophie Wright. And he loved it. He came back to me, and he said he had no problem. Everything was so nice. And when he relocated him to Hoffman, he asked us if we'd come back there.
Wow.
So we left a good impression on it. However, it was during that time that we started looking at trying to, you know, more work closer with someone who's closer to the district or something to help us. And so we kept looking, and so someone turned and said, why don't you run? I said, oh, no, I don't want to run for that. And I had been going to law school too, so I had met a lot of my friends from law school.
So where were you going to law school?
At Southern.
Okay.
And
See, I didn't know that.
I didn't finish though. They had the demonstration and them closing the school. But closed right in the middle of the school year when they killed the 2 students.
73 or 74.
Yeah. And so, however, and so between them, everybody's encouraged me to run. So we got out there and decided to take a shot at it, you know, and put together a campaign. And it was myself and about 7 of my friends, and that was really the core group of my election. And we didn't have much else to do, so every day we went around and knocked on everybody's door. And we was meeting people, and the lady said, you back again? I said, however, but it
Did you have
did.
much money?
No, my dad actually gave me most of the money I used. He bought a magnaphone. I said, why? He said, well, you're going to need that because you know after you win, you'll need it for the next election. He was very optimistic that I would win.
Yeah.
And so I remember we gave a block party. And like I said, by him being a construction, he constructed a stage. And my younger brother played with a band. He got his band there, track 1 or something it was. And they played, and had all my little kids came there from the day camp. And somebody went back and told Landry and said, oh, you got to worry about it. She ended up with a bunch of kids at that thing. Yeah, I told them I took time, I gave each one of them children a palette, a paper thing. Take this home and tell your grandmother or your mama that you know I'm running, and you know, and expect they'll vote for me. This is what we're doing. And I'll never forget, one of the ladies came to me election day. She was coming from the poll. She said, oh, my grandson dragged me to the poll. He told me I had to vote for you. And I told somebody, I said, but I talked to those children, explained to them what we was doing. And I think that was a big help. And I made it to the runoff, and there were 10 people running. And I was not one of the ones selected as a possibility of being in the runoff. I'll name some of the people who's in that race, and then you'll know why.
Yeah.
It was myself, you had Paul Valto,
Yeah.
You had Charlie Alwine.
Wow.
You had Enemy Tickles.
Wow.
You had David Bann, who was white, who they all assumed would be in the runoff with Reverend Landrum. Reverend Landrum ran. And those ones that I recall. There's some other ones I don't remember their names, but those were like the top candidates.
Yeah.
And so they all figured that, you know, one of those, the thing was the objective was to beat Reverend Landrum, you know, because they figured a white, you know, the statistic was like probably close to 60 per 60. I mean,
60-40 black.
yeah, something like that, yeah. And so, but I decided I'd run for the white vote too. So I went to the White Houses and,
Right.
you know, the people, the white constituency, talked to them and told them that I had been in school and what I had been doing. And I picked up a good bit of white vote, enough to where I ended up in a runoff with Reverend Landrum. The white boy didn't make it. And that's when it was on, you know. And I ultimately beat him. But I think about, and that by this time, I had met Niels Douglas,
Right.
you know, and I had done a little work in the office. And I met Don Hubbard, and because I started doing some work with them. I hadn't joined the organization, but I started doing some work with them, and so they offered to help me. And
Yeah, that was sold.
yeah. And as people say, I was sold trying to get uptown. I told them I was already uptown. And so they thought I was somebody from a different area. They thought I was from Selma Ward. I told them, no, I lived in uptown. And my grandmother was plenty of people knew her. I said, I'm Miss Rude's granddaughter. And a lot of those people in there, the elderly people, they all knew her. She was a very active person in lots of clubs. And she wasn't Catholic. All of us was Catholics. She was Methodist.
Yeah.
And so, however, though, and so that really, they helped me get some posters and some other things, but they also asked Vincent Brown.
Oh, I remember Vincent.
And so Vincent said he would be my campaign manager. And he was I don't know if I should say this, but you know, he's a very handsome man, so all the ladies liked him, you know. It was easy for him to get people to work with him.
That's before you became a singer.
Yeah, he was really a nice, calm guy, a very calming force, and so he really so that's who was my campaign manager, and I worked with him, and he gave me more a lot of strategic things to do, but I still kept my basic going door to door and doing the things we had been doing with my friends and my family, and it wasn't until like I said, we was doing that, and ultimately, you know, it paid off. But I never forget though, Reverend Landrum, his campaign manager, I don't know if I'll call his name or not, because you probably know him. But anyway, but he told Reverend Landrum, when we go to speak, Reverend Landrum was always so polite and nice. And people tried to get you to do negative. I thought I wasn't going to be, I don't want to be involved, not negative. And so, and that's the kind of campaign we ran.
Yeah.
And so he told Reverend Lane, he said, you got to stop getting up there and pulling out the chairs for Diana. And she's a vicious politician. He said, and you running talking about you know, you're gonna let her go first because you had the best looking candidate out of anybody else. And you know, he was very, you know, he was always very, I guess you can say very polite.
Yeah.
And she said she's a lady and I'm gonna treat her like a lady. And I always respected him for that. And even though, you know, I didn't necessarily want to go first, but he would pull the chairs out, whatever. He was always very polite.
Very courteous.
Very courteous, and gonna say, you need to stop doing that because she's a vicious politician out to beat you. But I wasn't doing it, I was just running.
Right.
And so I did beat him, and he was one of the few people I can remember after losing a race who came to my house. And he met with my mother, and he told her, he said, I was praying that if she lost, that she would, you know, wouldn't take his way. My mother said, yeah, I'm praying too. I'm praying for you too. And so, because my mother's a very praying woman as well.
Yeah.
And so, but we, you know, never lost friendship with him. You know,
Good.
he always was a nice, decent guy. So,
Right.
you know, and what anybody else said, I don't know nothing about it. He was always nice and decent. Met his family later on in life. And
So when you went to the legislature, how many blacks were there?
they were all, they were all there. They were all there from the reapportionment. You had
About a dozen, if I remember.
it was not. No, it wasn't that many. it should have been 9.
Okay.
And because we started the caucus, it was 10. I made 10. And me and Reverend Alexander, as a matter of fact, it was 8, because I ran the same time. Reverend Alexander ran that same year, and he won, and I won, I think. And you had a Jasper
We had
one.
Delpit from Baton Rouge, and
Let me see who came. You already had Johnny there, and you had Dorothy. She left, though she didn't stay, so Dorothy was leaving. Reverend Alexander took Dorothy's
right.
place, and then you had
Alphonse Jackson.
Alphonse was there,
Shreveport.
yeah. Very, very, very smart man, who I thought was just extremely polished and smart, and knew so much about education.
He was a principal.
I really admired him. And you had Nick Connors,
Right.
and you had Louis Charbonnet, who was a kick. He was a nice fellow with his kicks. But and like I said, Johnny, how many that is? You had,
And somebody from the Lower Ninth Ward. Who do we have?
yeah, because Jasper ended up beating him, whoever
Yeah,
it was.
Jasper beat. What you call him didn't run. Marshawn didn't run.
That's what it was. Because I know Jasper came in
So
with me.
Jasper.
Yeah, I couldn't remember who, because I didn't serve with them. So, yeah, and you had in Baton Rouge, you had somebody too. Though you had
Joe
a Johnny
Delpit.
Joe. No, you had Johnny Jones or somebody. It was
Johnny Jones.
I think that was his name.
He was there before Delpit.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I know Johnny.
Delpit took his place.
Johnny Jones is still living. He's, I think,
He is.
98.
Yeah, they honored him.
Yeah.
At the Black Caucus not last year, year before, but never really knew him, met him, but didn't really get to know him.
Yeah.
And but who came in with me was Reverend Alexander, which already had a black in that seat. The only people who brought in new seats was me, and because the rest of them were replacements. Like Jasper took somebody's place who was already an African American, and so did Joe Delpit and Reverend Alexander. I was the only addition.
Well,
really.
Sidney was in the Senate.
He got in the Senate a little bit after. I don't know if he came in right after the election. It was a special election.
Okay.
I don't know if somebody died or what happened, but I know he did get elected that first. He was there the first time I was there, but he came in like the next year.
Okay.
And, because he ultimately, that's when we started the caucus.
Right.
And
And you
'cause
were the
he
only
was,
woman in the caucus? How was that?
you really want to know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, some of them were really good to work with. Others felt like, you was taken from them or something. You know?
Well, I
And-
asked that because I don't know if you remember Shirley Chisholm mentioned that she probably had more discrimination from gender than race.
Yeah, I would tell you, it really was there. And you had some who were much better to you than others.
Yeah.
And others who felt a threat, and I never thought of myself as a threat, just with getting resources for your district.
Yeah.
And so you found yourself in a fight with some of them, just over stuff like that. It was just crazy, which I won't say which ones it was, but it was it was some I had a lot of admiration for too. I was just so disappointed, but you had some who was very nice all the time. Who tried to, Alphonse to me was probably the most polished and the most. I had the most admiration for him at the time
Good.
because he was a great speaker, and I came from a family education. And there's something about him, the way he presented himself, and my seat was like he was sitting with his delegation. His delegation was horrible. They used to sit there and just say all kind of racial jokes. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, but he would sit there, he and Art Sile, he said, they would be arguing, but he held his own with them.
Yeah.
But he was, even though I didn't have a lot of communication with him, I always felt he wasn't friendly, but I still admired his abilities, and I
Yeah.
think we became friends later. But initially, I think, he didn't necessarily view me that way, but Nick was a friendly guy. So, Nick, homeboy from here and everything.
Right.
And all my brothers, everybody was going to St. Augustine, so we all knew Nick.
Now,
So-
this is when Edwards was governor.
Yeah, this was
Do you
his.
have a relationship with him?
This was his second term.
Right.
Yeah, not really. I remember, one of my mentors. I like thinking Don Hubbard. I love Don Hubbard. He was always something about Don. Don was very stable and very. He had a good feel for people. And Don Hubbard told me he said, yeah, he said, I'm ex Edwards to back you. You know, I'll never forget he told me. And he said, Edwards said, no, he wasn't backing you. He didn't know you. And he owed Reverend Landrum. And he told me, he said he didn't care if I came up there. I don't know if I go that far, but he didn't care if I came up there, whatever. He had never met me.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, so he didn't back me, which was fine, you know. And neither did the FLCIO back me. I didn't have a lot of backing at all, really, when you get down to it.
Yeah.
And because after I won in the second, everybody who was in the first endorsed Reverend Landrum. Not a one endorsed me. And I think I took Paul's the hardest, because I knew Paul. I'd been knowing him all my life. We used to go into, you know, our people all were postmen, and used to go to, his daddy was the Boy Scout leader, my brother was I just think probably I'd have been his organizer. He was with Bolden. And so, but anyway, they all endorsed Reverend Landrum. And somebody asked me, I remember, it must have been Irish Kelso, I said, what you gonna do? I said, well, I'll just beat them all again. And so what else was I say? And so, and that's exactly what happened. But
Did
anyway,
you ever develop a relationship with Edwards?
that's what I'm about to say. Yeah, you know, after I got there, he told me, "Oh, you didn't tell me, you know." You know, he was always flirty and fresh, you know, but he didn't really. I didn't let him get out the way with me or nothing, you know.
Yeah.
But he was nice, you know, and he was a couple of years into it, and he said that, you know, and he found out that, you know, I actually wrote a proposal for a program I wanted in my district. I actually did a proposal with all the statistics substantiating why we needed to do that at the senior center. And I had it sent to him, and he told me that he wanted him to fund it, you know. So he did try it. He helped me, and what happened, who I became close to, though, and out of the people I work with, was Joe Delpin.
Yeah.
I liked Joe. Joe was a jokester, but he would tell me, you know, because I told him, you know, everybody said, you know, they have all the meetings in the restaurant and everything. I said, well, what they in there talking about, Joe? They having a secret meeting, you know, the black men. And so he said, I'm so sick of you. But he would actually help me. He would tell me, like, what any of the plans was. I could always ask him. And I kind of like jump him and say, tell me, Joe, you know. And so I became, you know, he was like almost my go-to person who really helped me a lot, you know, indirectly. And anyway, so, because one time something was going on, and he told me, he said that, that's the governor on the phone, want to talk to you. He want to know why you angry and why you don't vote for. I said, I don't want to talk to him. I ain't thinking about the governor. And, you know, he was such a jokester. I didn't figure the governor's really on the phone.
Right.
And so then he on him the phone. He said, and he was on the phone. And so he said, what's wrong, Diane? I said, oh, nothing wrong. I said, I just don't want him to take my money, you know. What ultimately happened when I was talking about that was Fritz Egan was a senator.
Right.
And my understanding, he had developed a close relationship with Johnny and some of the other black legislators because he was on the finance committee. And things were done differently then. And you know, you didn't have somebody on the finance committee to make sure that whatever the low resources coming to your district was in there to protect them. He wasn't getting them. And so he and Johnny probably had become very close. And he had a letter, and it's public knowledge, because Irish Kelso wrote about it. He had a letter where he sent out to the Black Caucus. He wanted them to all sign up and say what a great senator he was. William Jefferson was running against him.
I remember that.
And I told him, I said, why y'all sign this letter? First of all, he's not y'all senator, he's my senator. You know, disrespect. But anyway, I said, I'm not signing nothing. So I wouldn't sign it. And I said, he never done nothing for us. And that became a big issue. She wrote about it. And she asked me, I said, well, you know, it's like this, Iris. You know, if you do that, he said he was going to cut what I had in the budget out. And if I was a man, he'd do such and such to me. But you know, I said, well, so be it. You know, I said, but I'm gonna let his people know in the district though why we don't have the senator, because our senator cut the money out.
Yeah.
It was on then. He went to the governor, and because the governor asked me, and I told him, yeah, you cut my money out the budget. And so he cut his people's money.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, however, when it came time, they used to have to call the interim emergency board, but the governor controlled it. He could always do extra money everywhere, all kind of stuff.
Right.
And so he said they was going to that it was an accident, man. He was gonna put my money back in the budget, and
It's too late now, though.
it was out the barn already. And so, but anyway, so he, yeah, he made the motion and everything, and put the money back in there for the seniors. But I wasn't, I ain't had time to help him because, by that time they had put people in my race, so, But I was busy running my own race. Told a certain group that, they need to put me on the ballot, that I was be better at the top of the ballot than somebody else, one of my opponents. And so, anyway, ultimately my thing was to try to win in the first, and I did.
Were there other women in the legislature when you went?
No, I was the only woman in the House. They had a lady in the Senate. She was an older lady at the time. She's probably nice lady. I'm trying to think of her name, though. She only served there one term. Sheehy. Very nice lady.
Where was she from?
Shreveport.
Okay.
And like I said, she was nice. Anything else about her, I can't really,
So, you were the first woman, black or white?
I wasn't the first. I had white women in there. I
Okay.
just was the only woman
At
that
that
term.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, which made it difficult because they had all the women in there. Not that some of the ladies when I meet them from other states say, "You're gonna be sorry when you get them in there." They were kicked some out. Yeah, because I told them I'm fighting to get some more women in here. And but anyway, so we ultimately the next session, Mary Landry was elected, and so was a lady from Lake Charles, and so it was three of us. And
Was Blanco in that group?
no, she came the next group. She was
Okay.
third. And I liked her. She was, I like most people. I'm not a hard person to like people, but and they had another little lady from Monroe, came in that fourth group.
So when did you form the Women's Caucus?
Well, we kind of had a little loose group. Mary had thought about doing. We never did get it together, but it wasn't until after in the third term, after they had stripped us of everything, and I thought about it. I said, well, since we're supposed to have had a women's caucus, it never really was formal or nothing.
Yeah.
So I went to the speaker, and I told him, I said, well, everybody got staff. Why we can't? We need to have staff. We need to have a women's caucus. And so the speaker then was, let me
Was that
see.
Henry? Was that Bubba?
No, Henry was the first one, then Hilario. Believe it or not, this was Jimmy Demos. And he had some other issues he and I were going through.
Yeah.
In order to get me off of first base with the other issue, because actually, he wanted me to move out of the Pentagon. I wouldn't move,
Okay.
and so I could stand my ground. That's the only way you got any respect around there.
Right.
And so he said, because actually the speaker decided who would stay there. They didn't have as many appointments.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And yeah.
I thought it went by seniority.
Well, started doing it to some degree, and then when they wanted, they did who they wanted, It's like anything else, but there was no strict seniority system. And so I ultimately, I told him, and so he said, well, are you going to move? I told him, when I get ready to move, I got to find somewhere to go, And I wasn't going nowhere. And so but it was fun. I enjoyed being an adversary when I was. I told somebody, well, the easiest session I had is when you're not with the administration, because you can vote against everything.
Yeah.
You only vote for things that's really good. And I told him, I'm going to vote against something because they bring it. I'm going to vote for it because it's good.
Now, he came under Treen.
No, Treen was John Henkel.
Henkel, that's right.
Henkel. He
Yeah.
came with actually, I'm missing a session, because he came with, that's almost the fourth session, that's when I left. But, because Edwards got elected again.
Right. It was
And then he came with Buddy Roman. So that's when we actually officially, we had started doing a loose women's caucus, but we had never really formed a caucus. We didn't like a chair or nothing. When Edwards came back the third time. And because a lot of women, he gave them a lot of positions and stuff. So he did, because I think that's when I got to be chair. I got to be chair of local and municipal, and Mary was chair of something, and I think they gave something to the other lady too, who was from Lake Charles at the time. And so they gave us better committees and stuff. And so, it was, told Larry and them, that was part of the deal, that, they needed to do better by the women in there. And so they gave us an office,
Okay.
but we didn't really have a caucus itself, because we didn't have no staff. And we had people swinging in and out, and it was only under Jimmy Deals that I got him. I had a lady who had been taken off of one of the committees, and she was coming around, and she asked me could she be the work the caucus, and I told her, I said, well, let me find out, because she was already on staff. And so he agreed to let her become the director of the caucus. She didn't stay long. And so after that, we was able to really hire somebody to become the director of the caucus. And
How was your relationship with Trina?
Oh, you know what? Trina was one of the nicest people. I tell people all the time, he just,
Right.
I always remember.
Edwards found that out. When he was in prison and he was trying to get him out?
Mm-hmm. He really, and his wife was so nice, Dodie.
Yeah.
And Edward's wife was a little more standoffish. And I think I got to understand why, because some of the situations in their own,
Right.
with him, with being the governor. But she was so friendly. She was just such a nice lady. I always remember her, because I worked with her on we had a women's conference. And she was truly a very really nice person. And, and she believed in women's rights. And, I ain't gonna say the equal rights of women, but she believed in women opportunities, like that. And so I enjoyed her a lot when she was the first lady.
What was your relationship with Buddy?
What Buddy?
Buddy Roma.
Oh, that's kicks. Because you know what? Buddy Roma didn't really have a lot of relationship with him. Didn't have a lot. I mean, until I got ready to run for the Senate. Well, put it like this. I know the Senate had a whole lot of problems with Buddy Roma.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, because he had done, changed the Senate, and they was able to return it back around on him. And Buddy Roma had to build what they call a Stellic plan. He had the original Stellic plan, where he was going to take away all these sales taxes off of poor people. Now, that wasn't necessarily his reason, but also off of businesses. And so if it meant, that this would help stop putting these regressive sales taxes on the poor, and he was able to get it to a constitutional amendment. And I can remember, a lot of them was still against it because it was him. I told him, when he came to me, I told him, I'm going to vote for it because it's good, and anything good, I'm going to vote for it. If it's bad, I'm going to vote against it. I don't care if who says it.
Yeah, I voted for
And
it.
so I supported it and voted for it. And when I got ready to run for the Senate, plenty of times he had different things that was good, I voted for him. I told him, ain't my friend or nothing, I was saying, but but he really, because he did come in and take away a lot of stuff from us. But however, and when I got ready to run for the Senate, he called me up and came to me. And he told me, he said, I would like to help you. I said, how you going to, wondering how he was going to help me. He can help me raise some money maybe. But however, I said, well, I thank you, And so I went back, who I was working with, my campaign manager was Renard Rochon. I just loved it. He was so funny. We had such a good time. I said, he said, what we'll do, Diana? He said, yeah, we won't, because, if we had looked at the district, the Senate district had a large percentage of Republicans. And we had a Republican lady in the race. And he said, if we could get some of these Republican votes, he said, we was polling. And I was like, running away with the African-American community and getting some of the white community. But if I could get the Republicans some of that, he said, we could win this thing in the first. And he said, now how can we can use Buddy Roma. He's a Republican. So I had a postcard. I had taken a picture with him at the women's conference. And he and I said like that. So we took that postcard and sent that. People used to do a lot of direct mail pieces, target mailing. And that's what I tell people, even today, with you can do all you want with your internets and with your Facebook and Instagram and all those things. People still want personal contact.
I tell people.
That's how that girl won in New York. They
Knock
didn't
on
take that to the,
doors.
yeah. But anyway, so we took that piece and sent it directly to Republicans. And I know we picked up some Republican votes. He did a message on there. And we were able to win in the first by, a good sizable margin, where we'd have to go into a second. And so that's how I got into the Senate in the first. And I was able to get into the reapportionment fight because his plan was to do away with whatever district was empty,
Yeah.
And by me getting it, they couldn't just do away with it because I was filling that district then. And we ultimately got rid of some other districts though. But
What was your relationship like with Foster?
you know, I met Foster.
That's right, he was in the Senate with you.
Yeah, he was in the Senate. He was one of the few people. I always think about a bill I had in the Senate. I had a bill where I was putting safety latches on guns. I did really well in the Senate. I'm not bragging, but I was so much more effective in the Senate than in the House. I had learned so much.
Few members, so you have more.
Yeah, and then I had learned so much. I tell people, you know, it was a learning curve for me. And learning how to work with different people. I could say cross the aisle, in the aisle, whatever. But however, and I had you know, a lot of people trusted me, especially on issues dealing with children and all kinds of things like that. But anyway, so when I did the bill, I got up and I talked about it, how it would help save children's lives. We just had somebody where a child had took a gun and shot himself. They didn't have a safety line. And so the bill passed out of the Senate. And he must have started getting calls from the NRA. But the only person who had got up and spoke against the bill was Foster, that I remembered. And I don't think a lot of people was paying a whole lot of attention. You know, the bill passed. And so they started, NRA started calling them. And they started going to the mic and they said, Mr. President, I want to change my vote on that last bill. And the bill is gone, you know. Yeah. And so, anyway, and so, I guess the president, I don't know who the president of the Senate was then, I don't remember. It could have been, if it was Foster was the governor, it had to be Hinkle. And he said, you can't change it, the bill is too late, the bill is gone to the House. He said, if you want to put a statement in the journal saying that, you know, you voted wrong or you made a mistake. And so I'm just standing there just listening, watching them go up there, you know, trying to plead for the, you know, why they had made a mistake. And so one of them said, I don't let them know, I just wasn't paying attention. I said, you sure you want to tell your constituents you wasn't paying attention? And so I said, I don't think you want to do that. And so he said, no. And however, I called up the House. You know, I'm smart enough to know it was dead on arrival in the House. I already knew that. But the thing is, I had got it out the Senate.
So you had a good relationship with Hinkle?
You know, we really developed a good relationship in the Senate, and that was the start of it. When he became
president.
Yeah, well, he wasn't. Actually, when he became president, he wasn't president under Foster. Ewan was president under Foster.
That's right.
And Ewan and I had a kind of, so no, Ewan took me off of finance, and you know, he was a Democrat. I didn't do as well under Ewan as I did under Hinkle. And so the next go round, you know, because Ewan said he wasn't going to run it again, and I don't think he would have made it anyway. I mean, he could have got elected to the Senate, but by that time, who was the next? Foster got elected twice. It was Foster's second term, so Hinkle became the speaker on his second term. And Hinkle, and myself and some of the other African Americans and some of the other progressive members, you know, we got together and we said, wow, who are we going to make the speaker, you know, I mean the president. And by this time, you know, I was want to say, Hinkle, he's been helping with a lot of stuff, and we really, you know, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people felt like he'd be a better president than what Ewan. Ewan was so conservative. He was much more conservative than Hinkle was. Yeah. And so, however, so we ended up electing Hinkle. Hinkle became the president. And he put me, by the end of Ewan term, I was back on the finance because Dennis had left. And so they gave me that finance seat. And so Hinkle said he agreed to not only keep me on finance, but make me vice chair of finance and put me on health. And he gave us a lot of stuff, you know.
So were you president pro tempore under him?
No, I was, I was vice chair of the finance committee. And I want a lot of other stuff. He really, you know, we ended up with a very good working relationship. I tell people, I had so much so I turned him one in. I told him, I said, you know, John, when you were in the House, you was a Democrat. You was a horrible Democrat. I said, you're a much better Republican, and which he was. And he used to fight hard for New Orleans, and I think that's what engraced me to him, and because he fought so hard for New Orleans, he really did. He formed a relationship with Mark Morial, and I think someone must tell you that, though, you know. and where I got to see him when I'd go to De La Salle, I had a godson over there, and he would be there every time he see me. I said, "What you doing?" And I said, "I'm over here. We work the fizz to do." And so, but anyway, however, and I, I used to go to Southern legislators, and that wasn't a thing that a lot of blacks used to go to initially. And somebody, I can't remember, one of the speakers of the House told me he wouldn't let me go. He told me they had the National Legislative Conference was meeting in Reno, and he said, "Well, I can't approve you to go. You can't go." I said, "Let me tell you this. I can go anywhere I want to go.
Yeah.
Just say y'all won't pay for it. That's fine. But I can go now, you know." Which I didn't go, but I want him to know it wasn't like he could tell me where I could go.
Right.
But anyway, but he did come back, and he said, "But you know, if you want, you can go to Southern Legislature." I think he thought he was being funny, and and they were on a Virginia Beach, and so I did go.
Beautiful.
And I loved it. I had the best time. I got on the health committee there and stuck with it. Went every year after that to Southern Legislature. They met in the southern states, and I learned so much about these other, southern states. I mean, why would I want to go to the next time they met in Mississippi? All right, so you could bring your family and stuff. So I was bringing people, exposing them to that. Then we went to like West Virginia, and we go to Nashville. It was all southern states, and I tell you, I learned so much. I told places I never would have thought about going, and I stuck with it. I became the chair of the committee, and
Once
moved
you
up.
get in,
And John, we looked for myself and Kip Holden. We was not a miss. Then start having more and more of us started coming to it, but and so that's when the conservatives started that new group, Alex, because we was too involved in the southern legislators now. They couldn't do the kind of stuff they wanted to do in there.
Got a couple more questions. Your relationship with Bobby Jindal?
I didn't work under him, so but he was. When I was there, he was over the health. He was over the human DHH.
Right.
And
Well, he was pretty good there, wasn't he?
he wasn't bad. He wasn't good, but he was better.
Yeah.
He wasn't as bad as he was as governor.
Yep.
Put it like that, because he had check and balance. And he came with DHH. One of the things I remember he really wanted to change was the transportation program. And for us, you can't just get rid of it. People need transportation to go get medical services. You see, there was so many abuses in it, in which there were. And you had people who was taking people to the grocery, and they never did go to a medical appointment. So they did clean it up, and it reduced the costs on that, which did save us money for Medicare, and Medicaid for other issues. And the other thing was the chiropractors. And not to single him out, but he had a group of chiropractors. We're bringing little kids in, and 'cause I stayed on health and welfare the whole time I was in the legislature. I loved it. I wasn't in health, became almost not bring, but I became almost expert in some areas of health care, and watched that whole system evolve. And I said, it's one thing to screen. What are we screening little children for with, back trouble and stuff? And it was using a lot of the Medicaid money to screen kids. I remember they had a chiropractor place around the corner from me, not too far from me. And I see all these kids get off the bus. I said, we're on a field trip. And so, that was something else they cleaned up. But I had a chance to do some things like, for a lot of things for women. I did the breast cancer, initial breast cancer stuff. People don't know, insurance didn't cover that. Then I got we started in the House and passed it in the Senate, where it would cover mammography, mammogram screenings, and of course they had an age limit in it. But each year was able to make it better, and so that was one of the things. And also we had money coming from CDC for screening. And it wasn't reaching nobody. I said, what you got this money? We got all these, and you keep reading these high statistics of African-American women dying of breast cancer. And we find out that, it ain't that we had the highest rate of people getting breast cancer. We had the highest number of people dying from it because we were being diagnosed too late. And I had not had breast cancer then, So it wasn't like I was doing it for myself, And ultimately I was doing, but my mother ultimately had breast cancer. And what it did, though, like you say, we started screening women, and not only just screen them, but trying to help place them where they could get, if they was found to have a problem. And that is where Jackie Clausen comes. I tell people, you know, you learn to work with different people. And Jackie was really good at that. Jackie came up with a bill where we'd have all these things would come out and screen women, you know, breast cancer. And you screen them, and then they couldn't go get the test because they had no doctors. So she had a way, you know, we pay us a bill where you could go and get the mammogram, and then ultimately they would put you with a doctor to read it, you know, and to tell you about it. However, but and we were able to grow the money from, I think it was getting like a couple $100,000 to millions, and moved it to LSU in Tulane. We created the breast center at Charity Hospital. And it no longer exists, but we created that before the storm. And
Kathleen Blanco.
yeah, well, Kathleen wasn't there then.
But you were there when you were still in the legislature when she was governor.
Oh yeah, that was one of the floor leaders.
Oh,
But
okay,
we created that. We created the breast center. I think it might have been under Kathleen, but anyway, it was before the storm.
yeah.
And what it was, I had an opportunity to see Tansy Breast Center, where you go there and you get your mammogram. If you needed, they gave you an ultrasound, and it was all encompassing, and where you could help ladies, help women, direct them, or men, whoever it was, to where to get the treatment. And also, I was able to pass legislation increasing Medicaid funding to 250% of the poverty level for women who found they had breast cancer, so that they could be covered. And I can remember the arguments, though. When I'm saying, oh, they're going to drop the insurance. I said, nobody drops the insurance. You'd be surprised. We always said, well, of course, the insurance companies are always against everything. Yeah. But you had a group that said that women going to be dropping the insurance because they can get this free with Medicaid. Why would they keep it? I said, nobody going. Why would you drop your insurance and you just found you had breast cancer? Yeah. Taught me, but you know. But anyway, but some of the things they would say would just be so far-reaching to me. But however, we were able to create it in charity, and Dr. Denise Johnson can probably tell you more about it. She ended up being one of the best spokespeople for it. And after the storm, they were able to move into a building on Perdido, and they kept it up. I used to send people there. They come to you crying, say they don't have no insurance. I say, look, go over here, and they'll screen you and everything, and help you if you have a problem. And did a lot of work with St. Thomas, who also worked with that. But those were things that weren't, you know, necessarily accessible like they are today, to hear people talk about it. And then it came to Reconstruction thing. You know, we decided that if you had to have a total mastectomy or something, and the same insurance company needed to cover the reconstruction. And we were the first states to do that. We don't get credit for that. Louisiana was one of the first states. Then ultimately the federal government did it. And what's her name? The lady she does a lot of stuff on reconstruction. She raises money. But anyway, because she said it wasn't a lot of campaigning about it. A lot of people didn't know it existed. And so, you know, and they had to want us, when you found out you had breast cancer, they had to give you a written thing about what were your alternatives, rather than just, you know, people need to know, like, what am I expecting, you know? Yeah. And she went back in like a couple of years later, since I've been gone, and they changed some of these things and built them up. We had initial stuff there, but it wasn't, and I give plenty of credit for that, to go back in and really bring it up to date. Mm-hmm.
It is 10:26.
Okay. You had a role in helping to develop the World War II Museum, right?
Yep. It wasn't willingly at first, but afterwards, you know, and I say that because at first I was wondering why were we doing a war museum? Yeah. You know, my mind just really, didn't even started it when I met Dr. What's his name? Yeah, what's the other one? Mila. And he's talking to me. He said he wanted me to meet Ambrose. And so they brought Ambrose up, and he talked. And he was mesmerizing. I mean, you know, I was enjoying him. He was really good. And it wasn't until he hit on the boats, the Higgins boats. Yeah. And he had all these people work there, African Americans, women, and everybody who got paid equal money, and what a role we played in this. And then it started dawning on me, you know, my dad was in World War II. And I had to go back to my childhood almost. And because he used to take us with him to the veterans of foreign wars, and we used to help him pass out Poppies or something, and to raise money for disabled veterans. And we always had a flag.
I remember.
And I told somebody, I said, I can't, it's like, it's like it wasn't lost on me. I just hadn't been visiting those things. And I thought about it, I said, there is a story that needs to be told, And so, it was in my district, so they really needed me to sign off on, for the thing we signed off, the first thing we did was the Louisiana Pavilion. Of course, it was the backlash from where all the blacks, and African Americans, but you found out they weren't in D-Day. But then they found out they were part of World War II.
Yeah.
And because I even went and asked my daddy, and he said he was stationed in Guam. He said his job was to guard the prisoners. We never had that conversation. And I mean, I can remember as a little girl playing with his shovels and, stuff he brought back with him. He must have had, he had kept. Yeah, the helmet, we play with all that. We actually say you have 7 children, you play with whatever you can play with. But he really, and he really always he was very involved in that aspect with a man named Albert Thomas. And Mr. Thomas was like over that VFW for the whatever group he was working with. But yeah, I sure did. And
you were on the first board, weren't you?
I was on I don't know if it was the first board, but it was one of the first, like right at the end of it, because I didn't get on until the end of my term.
Okay.
Yeah.
See a picture.
Yeah. Yeah, and worked with him. I tell you who was really, he died. The guy who was the president when I came on, I don't remember his name right now, but he was so passionate and really a good guy. And of course, Bollinger gave a lot of money, but all these people gave lots of money to the World War II Museum. So it was easy for them because, it was easy for the state to come up with monies because they put up so much match.
Right.
And then they went to the federal government. And this has turned out to be one of the biggest projects.
Bigger than anybody could ever.
Yeah, but than I could have ever had imagined.
Because I remember when he first proposed it. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, you have little faith.
Mm-hmm.
But you remember how mesmerizing Ambrose was. I was a pre-med major. He got me to switch to history.
Really? He really was. And just to sit there and listen to him talk was like, I could listen to this man all day,
Yeah.
And I never was that. I had to go back and go do some research and read up. And because he really was, and I think there's no doubt about it, he was the catalyst that really worked with Mueller.
Too young, yeah.
Yeah, but he was a really, really good spokesperson, knowledgeable, and how he say that Eisenhower said that it was the Higgins boats that helped win the war.
Yeah. One final question. Well, 2 actually. What was your biggest disappointment? And what did you consider to be your biggest political achievement? You probably mentioned it already, but what would you think was your biggest disappointment as a public official?
And I don't sound selfish, but I think term limits was horrible.
Term limit.
And not so much being selfish for myself, I think it hurt the institution.
Okay.
It took away all institutional knowledge, and I just watched how they struggle, especially under the when Bobby Jindal came in. It was a struggle. There's so many new people, and
that's how he was able to have his way.
Yeah, institutional now in legislature, especially the state legislature, turnovers were like that. You always had a lot of new people coming. It's easier to it was hard to defeat you if you're doing a good job, and people like you. But they defeat a lot of people. I mean, people used to get defeated. I can remember, and I don't want to sit there and name people. I mean, Lewis got defeated, and Jasper got defeated. A lot of blacks got defeated. Whites got defeated. And so people were defeated, And I mean, I had people trying to defeat me a lot of times. I had opposition the first 3 terms. I had opposition. And it wasn't until my 4th term that nobody decided to run. And when I ran for the Senate, it was all over. It was started again. I had it was open seat. It wasn't like my seat. And so, but I won it, and I never had another opponent until my last term, which I thought was kind of kicks. But it's why would you run now? I can't run no more anyway. So, if you want the seat, you can have it. You might be able to get me to help you, but you don't get me to help you like this. But anyway, but I think that's probably that, along with that stands right out because I just think that hurt the process.
Okay.
And and I, like John Hinkle, I found out the legislative process really was a good process when you learn how to work, cross aisles, and we never had that, like they got now.
Right.
We always say we didn't have that many Republicans, but by the time I left, we had a good bit of Republicans in the Senate, and but what's his name? Who works for the governor right now? He was he ran for governor. Can't call his name right now.
With the B.
Anyway, but he was he was chair of the finance committee.
Right.
And the thing was to get him to understand that you can't just cut everything and don't give nothing to people who this is a state, we have a lot of poor people here,
Right.
people who need government. And to get people to understand that you needed people like myself and others, they're always to remind people that, it's just not about those who have, but you got to also take care of the have-nots. And I'm not talking about, and people or have-nots not by choice always. It could be for a number of reasons, but plenty of times if you give them a hand, they'll get on their own and help themselves.
So really, it was educating people. I found that I was on the Election Reform Commission from 75 to 78. Alphonse Jackson and I were only blacks out of 15. The one thing I found out was a lot of things people opposed because out of ignorance.
Yeah.
Just being there.
Just
and
out
saying
of that,
you don't have any idea how
out
it's
of
going to affect
ignorance.
certain people. And that did change people's mind.
Ignorance, that, and when I first got to the legislature, you could have bought me for a nickel, like they say. I couldn't believe how many people had there who were not well educated and had one issue, and that was the whole island set of people.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna sit here and try to name it, but I just can remember one little guy in particular. He's like a little rooster. He used to run around anything for blacks. He voted against him, and I found out he'd hardly finished third grade.
Right.
But he was up there, and that was his whole thing. And he had a couple of them like that, Then you had some who were better educated, but they were so conservative. But
Some of them changed.
yeah, some of them did. I mean, I watched, and like I said, I don't know how much, but people don't. I think Hankel was the person who I watched change.
Yeah.
He just became, and I don't, he didn't give up his issues, but I remember he got an award from the Black Caucus, not the statewide Black Caucus, the state employees and stuff. And I was at the thing, and he said, he literally was about to cry.
Yeah.
He told me, he said, never thought he'd get that. I said, well, John, he said, "Am my average and dropped so far with LIB right now?" I told him, I said, I'm ready to be back up. But he really, because he did some things, he made some decisions, like with the Stellic plan and some of those things, that ultimately was going to be good for little people, but also for business. And I think that was the difference between Foster. I would have to rank Foster. Foster was a pretty good governor,
I think so.
Mm-hmm. I think,
Forget about how he got there, but once
Yeah.
he got in.
Yeah, he didn't get there by the best way. Another thing was, he really, and he didn't have like a vendetta against little people. He wasn't like, someone went there with a vengeance almost against, just take away everything that's going to the needy and the poor and those who are trying to lift themselves up. But I just found I had a lot of respect for people like that, and it was, I used to call them live and let live,
I used to think that Jimmy Davis was the worst governor before Bobby Jindal came along.
See, he probably was.
He was awesome.
But it's been my best thing, thing I'm most proud of, I guess, it's just several things, but always, I guess the work I did in cancer research, because I'm one of the people who helped build that cancer center.
Right.
John Hinkle came to me, and that's why, I tell people, that's when you know you're making a difference, because he came to me and asked me, he said, I'm talking to Dr. Stoyer and Starter and Dr. Wiener. And it was Tulane and LSU who didn't get along. And I had been fighting that battle for a while, They couldn't get me to agree to nothing with, because it was rotating the people there. But, my thing was to do something to Charity Hospital, make it better, for people to have better service. But anyway, however, he came to me with that. And he said that they both agree that we need to be looking at doing some kind of cancer center. And I know that by this time I had head cancer, and I was in remission and everything. But and I told him, the thing that touched me most when I had it the first time was, when I would go to chemotherapy and radiation to watch all these little children.
Yeah.
And I always think about one little boy in particular. They must have bought him a little military suit. He come in marching with his little bab head, I said. And it was just like a little soldier. He go in there and I cutting up to go. But I said to myself, y'all look at him how strong and how much, you know, and I said, why would a little kid like this have to be going through this?
Yeah.
And to me, I just thought we need to do as much as we could to take in, you know, to fight, to eradicate that, you know. So little children, you know, of course, you know, rest of us too, but you know, if we could stop it at that level, it would really be a gift. But so that's one of the things I'm very proud of that, and certainly, you know, I guess getting elected to the pro tem was a personal thing. You know, when I went to the legislature, I never thought I'd even be a chairperson. Unless in my furthest dream, I think I'd ever be pro tem of the Senate. You know, I mean, it was like the biggest thing there, and you know, the Senate, they really ran things. And
Well, yeah, I tell my students, don't give up on people because people can change.
yeah, and you just got to keep working at what you believe in, and understand that, you know, you got to also, like my grandma used to say, find out what's important to them.
Yeah.
And some things you find out you can work with. There are those things that's non-compromisable, but some things are.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And
Enjoyed it, learned a lot.
I hope so.